So let's go back to our launching the drug example. Let's walk through the customer journey of how this is supposed to happen in order to be able to narrow down what are the specific elements of the communication strategy that we need to think about. First of all, it may start with the customer realizing or finding out that there is actually a new product. First of all, this product needs to stand out among many of the other alternatives that exist in the market, many of which actually don't have a very high reputation for actually being effective at preventing hair loss. Since it is a prescription drug, next you're going to have to think about doctors, as we said before, physicians, right? So what you really get is the customer to come to the primary care physicians in order for him to either prescribe or derive him to a dermatologist who will ultimately prescribe the drug. So obviously you also need to communicate with primary care physicians. You want to make sure that you get these guys under your arm and that they become your friends rather than gatekeepers to get to that prescription. So the objective of that part of the campaign will be for the doctors to actually prescribe or, in effect, send you to see a dermatologist. Next, you might also want to communicate with pharmacies. Let them know that the new drug exists and make sure that there is enough coverage through the country when those customers and those orders finally begin to arrive. Finally, you want to make sure that the customer has a good experience at consuming your product, right? The easier it is to consume, let's imagine that there is a pill, the better the customer experience. But at the same time, you cannot overpromise. Remember, this is a hair prevention drug and not a hair regrowth drug. So the customer has to walk out of the doctor's office with the right expectation of what the product will actually do for him. Next, you want to make sure that if that product is working for your end consumer, that the person goes back and gets a refill in the pharmacy and continues to take the medicine on a regular basis. This is typically a huge problem for pharmaceutical companies where customers just simply abandon the treatment after a while, right? So, is there anything else that I need to worry about? Of course, as I said before, you ought to really be concerned about the word of mouth because people will actually get to talk about it. If there is already a general disbelief of the market for all these hair growth products and that perhaps nothing works other than surgery, then you may have a problem. For every dollar that you're going to be investing in the communication campaign, somebody at the other end of the spectrum is going to be outdoing your efforts by claiming in their gyms, amongst their colleagues, at work, and so forth and so on, that the product is not for them. Why? Most likely because you ended up with the incorrect kind of consumers. Rather, you should have the ones where hair prevention is the main benefit and is applied to them. And as we have seen from before, it's probably tied to age. Younger customers, particularly those worried about aesthetics looks, are probably the better target for your drug. So now we have covered the entire customer journey process for this particular product. The communication strategy needs to address every single one of these touch points and cover every single one of the needs that we have described. In the next section, we're going to see what kind of message and what kind of content we need to design to be able to accomplish these goals.